All right, we are at 6:30. We will resume our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask the students in the audience to lead us tonight. We have a public hearing tonight. Real quick before we start, we did have a study session at 5:30. Covered a lot of discussion on the professional development that will be going on for our administrators and staff over this summer and into next school year. And I can say that it is a very exciting and some great opportunities, some great learning to be done by our teachers and staff this summer. With that, we will begin with a public hearing regarding Board Policy 6400, parental community involvement in schools, and 6410, Title I, parental involvement. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. According to state statute, schools must conduct an annual public hearing regarding their parental involvement policies. Norfolk Public Schools has a district-wide parental involvement policy, 6400, and a specific Title I parental involvement policy, 6410. The district-wide parental involvement policy several ways that parents can be involved in their child's education, such as reviewing their child's educational record, filing a complaint about instructional materials, and having advance notice of standardized testing and school-sponsored surveys. The Title I parental involvement policy takes this a step further. Title I defines the term parental involvement as the participation of parents in regular, two-way, meaningful communication regarding students' academic learning and other school activities. Some specific examples of this include providing parents with regular opportunities to learn about their child's academic progress, providing them with the opportunity to review this policy, and eliciting their help in developing the district's Title I plan. The policy committee recommended two small, non-substantive changes to Policy 6400, which will eliminate some redundancy and improve readability of the policy. No changes were recommended to Policy 6410. At this time, we will open the hearing to the public in order to give you an opportunity to present information and opinions on these policies. Is there anyone that is here to speak about the parental involvement policies? If there is no one here to speak about the parental involvement policies, I would recommend that we close the hearing and we will vote on the reaffirmation and the first reading of these policies later this evening.
Well, let's see if they might be interested in this one. We'll go to item 5.1, our focus on the students. Mr. Berryman.
While they're setting up, parents, you can move to wherever you want to in the room to get pictures. You don't have to, if you want to get up front here or whatever.
Before we start, remember you're going to introduce yourselves, okay? Yeah, you have to introduce. So you say, hi, I'm Dakota and I'm a kindergarten. Ready, hold it nice and up, nice and tight.
This year at Grant, we have had a theme wild about learning. My name's Dakota, and I'm in kindergarten.
Tell them who you are. No, just stay right here and tell them who you are first.
My name is Lily, and I'm in kindergarten.
My name is Justice, and I am in 4th grade.
My name is Adrian, and I am in first grade.
My name is April and I'm in first grade.
My name is Heath, and I'm in second grade.
My name is Diana, I'm in second grade.
My name is Brooklyn, and I am in second grade.
My name is Daisy, and I'm in 3rd grade.
My name is Tano. I am in third grade.
My name is Olivia, and I'm in 4th grade.
This year at Grant, we have had a theme wild about learning.
We read a book about Ivan the gorilla.
Grant School received a grant from Shopko, and we bought the book The One and Only Ivan from our Grant School One Book program. Each year, families get the same book to read at home, and a reading schedule is given to each family. Students are given a trivia question every day, and when they read at home with their families, kids look for the answer to that question. There are fun surprises for the winners. We had Ivan in our school for the 3rd quarter.
The first graders also measured, made, and baked Ivan's chocolate banana bread.
First graders were wild about learning when they measured and compared their handprints to Ivan's handprints. It was marvelous.
I'll hold this and you hold up here for the pictures. Turn them around. Okay, nice job. All right, I'll hold those for you. Okay, to the end of the line.
Wild about learning, second graders wrote about their favorite book characters and compared the main characters, Ruby and Ivan. Students also made simple slideshows with facts about gorillas and made gorilla art.
All of our students got so excited about learning when we had the wildlife encounters from Gretna come to Grant for an assembly. Wildlife Encounters works with local and national zoos, wildlife parks, and other organizations to provide homes for many types of animals from all over the world. We learned about rare and unusual animals and got to see them up close.
We saw an alligator, Pentagonian cavy, fennec fox, a tortoise named Cunningham, and a boa constrictor. We're all amazed by our animal visitors' habitats and special adaptations. Nobody except a few teachers seemed to mind the boa.
The final chapter of Ivan was read the day of our Dr. Seuss celebration on March 1st. Grant School is filled with musical activity stations that involved many volunteers from the high school and our community. Many subjects were woven into the evening that made us wild about learning and Dr. Seuss. Over 300 guests arrived to make crafts, play games, and musical instruments, research wild animals, eat green eggs and ham, and get their faces painted like the Cat in the Hat.
Guests were also entertained by our own Norfolk Public High School's drama team reading Dr. Seuss' book, Green Eggs and Ham. We are now going to bring one of those stations back to life with your help. We invite you to help us make music and celebrate our year of being wild about learning.
Guys, thank you for being here. That was awesome. All right. Next up is item 5.2, our award for excellence this evening. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Tonight, we'll have some special guests joining us, Aaron Rang, and our recipient tonight of the Award for Excellence for May, Ms. Teresa Becker. So, Aaron, you want to just talk a little bit and maybe read part, and then I'll read part?
This is the Norfolk Public Schools Award of Excellence recipient. I wanted to say congratulations to Teresa Becker, Maintenance Assistant Secretary, who was awarded the Excellence Award recipient for May of 2018 by the Board of Education meeting here. Okay, Teresa completes a lot of multitasks for the maintenance department, such as organizing and filing most of the POs and invoices for maintenance, receiving phone calls for maintenance, as well as phone calls for transportation in the bus department, organizing and putting together the yearly orders for paper and supplies for all the teachers throughout the district, including taking care of the inventory and paper supplies also. And she even helps out even measuring and painting the football fields for Norfolk Public Schools when we need it.
Yes, many talents. Teresa is very patient and polite when taking all the phone calls for the transportation and bus department, especially the calls of concerned parents, making sure that their child is picked up and dropped off at the correct bus stop.
Without Teresa's help, these tasks wouldn't have been completed in a timely manner. The maintenance department wants to give her a great big thank you for all the hard work that she has done. We really appreciate the effort she puts into her job. We feel that she should be recognized for their dedication and time she applies for Norfolk Public School District. We greatly appreciate all the hard work that she does for our district.
So Teresa, on behalf of the entire staff, congratulations and thanks for all you do for the maintenance staff, for teachers, district staff, parents, and students. So I'll give you the microphone if you want. You don't have to. But I do know that there were comments earlier, even tonight, about sort of behind the scenes work that goes on. You are instrumental in making sure that works. So I'll let the board maybe say any comments they want, but you do an outstanding job. So thank you for the work you do.
And I would just add to all the great things they read, but probably a lot of people don't know Teresa takes care of a lot of the backpack programs where we're getting food to students who need it on the weekends, and that funnels through the bus barn and out into the district, and it wouldn't happen without Teresa. So I would just, on behalf of Blessings in a Backpack, like to say thank you, and just this is a very, very well-earned award. Thank you so much for what you do for the kids in our district. Item 5.3 this evening will be our success pin recipients. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. We have several Success Pin winners this evening, some of which actually got nominated for 2 pins this month, so that's a pretty good accomplishment. We have Erica Belts, Lisa Stowe with 2 pins, Amy Haish, Jill Holcomb, Lorena Pantoya with 2 pins this month, Chuck Hughes, Joan Olenich, Nancy Probosco with 2 pins this month, Shelley Schnorr, Lori Voss, Melissa Hansen, Heather Werner, Julie Shoemaker, Emily Jansen, Nancy Paladna, Brenda Oswald, Tori Obermuller, Carrie Messersmith, Mike Hart, Shanae Naranjo, Beth Nelson, Ashley Burkhauser with 2 pins, Allison Sucksdorf, Jan Asmus, Kelly Thielen with 2 pins, Bruce Strong, Pat Norman, Gretchen Vaness, and Joyce Kirschner. And the random winner of our $50 chamber bucks or cash now was Beth Nelson. And I do want to mention that I put out some information on Twitter and Facebook during Teacher Appreciation Week, so we will have a number of recipients next month, many of which were nominated by students and parents. Those have been very fun to read.
Do you share the nominations with the person who receives it?
Yes, they get a copy of it with the pin, and then we also have a slideshow that goes on the web page. So if you want to see what somebody nominated them for, the actual reason is on our web page each month with their picture.
And now we're to the time where I'm sure everyone is here for our public comments and communication section. This is the time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. If you wish to comment, we ask that you identify yourself and the topic you wish to address. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Do we have any public comments or communication this evening? One of these meetings I'll just sit here until someone comes up and talks. Not tonight. We will go to our information discussion items, beginning with our finance and facilities report. For the first time officially in a board meeting, Dr. Bill Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The total amount of claims to be approved in the consent agenda for the month of May are as follows. In the general fund, we had $484,597.06. Nutrition fund, $276,878.66. The cooperative fund of $7,167.41. Special building, $21,459.20. QC Puff, $65,177.94. The Employee Benefit Fund, $302.65. Bond Fund, $96,565. Student Fee Fund, $1,189.43. And the Activity Fund in April had $150,942.26. All these claims were reviewed earlier today by our Finance and Facility Committee.
Item 7.2 tonight will be your teaching and learning report. Beth Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, well, we've had a busy month. NSCAS, or Nebraska State Comprehensive Assessment System, that's our state test. It is done. We are finished. At the last meeting, I had indicated there were few problems involving state testing. Some technical issues began to show up, but our well-prepared staff and knowledgeable technology staff were able to fix them and find answers to our problems. Again, we won't receive those official scores until later in the fall due to it being a new test, new cut score development. So through that process, there's got to be a lot of checking, double checking, and making sure things are accurate before they publicize those. Next year, they're assuring us that we would have that sooner to our review. I'm a member of the State Accountability and Assessment Advisory Committee. We met on May 1st to discuss issues surrounding state testing. Some of the topics of discussion that we provided feedback on were time limits on state tests, the special education accommodation manuals, communication and support from NWEA, which is the testing company, technology support, and interactive technology functions within the test. Two science companies presented programs to a group of approximately 15 teachers, K-12. We're still investigating our approach to science. You will likely hear more about this at a later date. Surveys to parents were sent out via Infinite Campus on April 30th regarding the no homework practice that was piloted this year. We will review those results at our summer board administrative retreat. Renee Rucker and Heather Thompson have been offered and accepted the positions of instructional leaders. We're looking forward to supporting teaching and learning across the district. And more things is just to wrap up the end of the year, plan for the next, and that's just what we do in May. In the area of technology, we have things that we need to organize. We talk about the check-in of Chromebooks that won't be going home. The maintenance, the updating of our technology. We continue to fine-tune that process. I think we're getting more and more efficient and economical in our work. Later in the agenda, I will be seeking permission to have an annual technology sale, but it will also include other things besides technology. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Beth, this is the first year for NWEA to be the testing company. I'm just curious about how the communication and support was from them for the test.
Actually, in the testing window, it was very good, I would say, because it took them to the last minute to develop things. We didn't have our information till the last minute, so I felt like we were scrambling to get training done and feel like we were confident with how things would run and operate on the back side. I mean, I didn't think we'd have a whole lot of functionality issue with the students. We had a couple. We figured out some problems, and we saw some student errors that attributed to some of our problems. It was kind of an interesting story, but yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, but they have been, and they're seeking to do a good job. But I think they want to grow in that area in their company, and they want to do that well, and they want to do it right, and so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Item 7.3, and I understand you were filling in for Mrs. Lure tonight.
Okay, so on behalf of Mary Lure, who is absent, our results from ELPA 21 have been shared. The ELL teachers are looking through the results and determining focus areas of instruction needed for continued growth. Our Johnson O'Malley Native American Awards Banquet will be held on Wednesday, May 23rd at Ponca Tribe of Nebraska, beginning at 5:30 p.m. And just some important dates that she asks us to keep on our radar. May 20th is graduation. May 24th is the last day of school for students. And May 25th, teacher workday and staff checkout.
7.4, Human Resources and Accreditation Report. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just real quickly, especially this time of year, just want to send out staff kudos. As the school year winds down, we just want to take a minute to sincerely thank our entire NPS staff for the excellent work that they do for our students, our families, and our community. Norfolk is truly blessed to have such outstanding teachers and support staff in our district, and the overall commitment and dedication to students that our staff embodies ensures that nothing prevents success. So again, just thank you to all of our staff for a really good year. Hiring season, we are getting closer to the end of an extremely busy hiring season, but it's been very exciting too. Next year, another very talented new group of educators arrives in our district, and we are excited to see how they will maximize the unique gifts and talents they bring to our Panther team. And the first day of training, hard to believe, is Tuesday, August 7th for new to the district staff. And so that'll be here before we know it. Below that is the current openings, and they are minimized from last month, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. President. If you have any other questions, please let me know.
I would just add that based on the feedback we got at the last board meeting, Mike and I did put together an exit survey, and that will be going out to our certified staff who are leaving this year. So we will be getting that information and sharing with that probably this summer sometime.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because I think it appears to be very simple. You know, it's not going to be something that's really laborious, but it may yield some really interesting and helpful information, I think.
7.5 is our superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. All members of our 3 strategic action planning committees were invited to attend a training led by Dr. Larry Dugash on April 26th. Each team started outlining goal objectives, steps, and timelines that evening, and most of these teams have already had follow-up meetings to continue their work. Our hope is that these action plans will be ready to share with the board at our board retreat on June 28th. We will also go over building data and goals that day, and we will share information with you regarding target-based grading and the related curriculum and assessment work that we are doing. In addition to that, I just want to share some dates with you to make sure we're all on the same page. The National Honor Society Awards ceremony will be this Thursday, May 17th at 5:30. The induction ceremony will be in the Johnny Carson Theater, and then there will be a reception in the cafeteria, and then scholarships will follow back in the Johnny Carson Theater. Graduation is Sunday, May 20th at 2 o'clock, and you are asked to be present in the senior high office by 1:30, keeping in mind that traffic and parking can be an issue that day. And then our last day of school is Thursday, May 24th. There will be an 11:30 dismissal, and we were going to have a board meeting after that, but we are going to cancel that meeting, so that should be fine.
And the retreat on June 28th starts at what time?
I'm going to say tentatively at 9 a.m., but we don't have all the details planned out. We asked you to kind of reserve the whole day, and at some point during that day, we will have a board meeting. We need to decide when, and we'll make sure we get that published for the media.
Committee reports. We will begin with our Finance and Facilities and Finance Committee report. Mr. Waite.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We reviewed the bills as was indicated to you earlier by Dr. Robinson. Yeah, first time I get to say that. We did have an update on 25th Street. City wants to put in a paving district at the end of the new street that we put in. And so they're in the process of going through getting that ready to do. I don't think they'll do it this year, but we'll do it next year because the time it takes and the impact it'll have on our movement of traffic if they don't get it done in time. We have some issues with the heating system underneath the old facility at the senior high school. There are tunnels underneath there, air moves, and so we're going to have to seek some bids for some repairs. Dr. Robinson has looked at several different processes for doing that, and we either have a $1.5 million project or a $150,000 one. So I think yeah. So you can imagine which one we're going to take. The 25th Street property, as you know, is looking at the agenda then today. We're going to authorize that to go out to bid. So they're still doing some tweaking on it, but it's pretty much ready to go. We've looked at some possibilities of doing something with custodians in the evening, hiring independent contracting company or companies, depending on how that works out. It's just difficult to find and maintain people. I'm sure some of you own your own businesses know that. Title I program lost some funding this year, and it appears that that's not going to be replaced by the current administration. So we've already, there will be a teacher and a para moved to a special ed position, so will the teaching staff at the middle school will be reduced by a para and a half, or teacher and a para, and they'll go to special education. It doesn't look like we'll get any more money. We'll see how that works out later down the line. And technology bond funding, we do that $100,000 every year. That funding source we can still have if we choose to have a vote of the people. And for $100,000, a vote of the people for that amount of money just isn't worth the effort. So the use of the technology fund there is going to go away. You can see we're getting some bids on some services. And you're going to have the opportunity to review the contract we have with Lunchtime Solutions. Keep that going. We have 3 more chances to renew that. So it'll be a 5-year contract when it's all over with before we go out again. Lunch prices for next year will remain the same as they are for this year, which is always nice. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. 8.2 will be our policy committee. Dr. Goebbels.
As was mentioned earlier during the hearing portion of the meeting, we are required by state statute annually to review our parental involvement policies, which are 6400, 6410, our absences policy, which is 5008, and the third one is our anti-bullying policy, 5415. The committee did an electronic review of those policies, and we didn't make any significant changes. It was just a couple of little wording changes to get rid of redundancy and to make the policy 6400. Both of them applied to 6400, but just to make that policy easier to read.
Three will be our Government Relations Committee report. Tammy?
The Government Relations Committee has not met since our last report. The legislature is no longer in session, so we're taking a break. However, we and everyone else probably continues to monitor the property tax issue. We are pleased that the ballot initiative has been dropped. The Greater Nebraska Schools Association, United Nebraska, the Nebraska Council of School Administrators, and others continue to work on a possible solution to the property tax school funding issue in hopes that a compromise would be reached during the next session. Our position is that any reduction in property tax must be accompanied by a new revenue stream in order to avoid detrimental cuts to state services such as public education. We've also had discussions regarding the governor's veto of LB 998, which would have placed a social worker in every ESU. And he vetoed the bill. We were disappointed, but there is some discussion that this could come to fruition via private funding to the ESU Coordinating Council. So there may still be a pathway. So we just wait and see. Any questions about that? Make sure you vote tomorrow, primary election day.
Eight 4 will be our Activities Committee report. Dr. Thompson.
I'm sorry, that should be Sandy Wolf. We need to get that changed in there.
8.4 will be our Activities Committee report. Sandy Wolf.
Well, thank you. Our meeting was held a while ago, not too long ago, and Bo Vergitz, who is our new junior high director, dean of students, he was introduced, as well as we said goodbye to Jake Lure and TJ Shires and thanked them for their service. Participation numbers and upcoming events were reviewed. As you all know, this was a winter that would not end, which came into spring winter. And I'm sure Lisa Mitchell had a lot to do with the rescheduling of events, and they all handled it very gracefully and without too much complaining, but they did a great job because it was just a constant reschedule. Only you know if she complained. We still have multiple coaching positions available, but we are happy to report that the head softball position has been filled by Mr. Seeschlag. So we're happy to have that off our plate. As far as the NSAA proposal, the bowling proposal did fail. And as an activity committee, we were okay with that because it would have really changed things for us. So we were okay with that. The state play production passed. And what that's going to do is divide Class A into 3 districts. And it used to be 4? 2? Two, but now the top 2 teams, it used to be the top 3 went, right? It was 2 and 2. Okay, so now we've got 2 extras, which is really nice. And then Dr. Thompson talked about the continued need for our assistance for activities and curriculum departments and how that's going to fall out. Right now, we address the first need with Mrs. Nelson, reorganizing her departments. And then Dr. Thompson is working with Mr. Reese and Mr. Lure about how we can address the needs of the activities department. Long ago, remember, that was on the budget to try to add another person, and then the budget got tight. So hopefully we can help figure out something like that. So Lisa doesn't have to be Wonder Woman. Questions?
The significance on the play production has to do a lot with some scheduling here in Norfolk during state, because that will add at least 2 additional plays to the competition while they're here. So it has to do with some scheduling of our facilities, but nothing that should be out of ordinary. And I'd love to see us continue to host state play production. I think our activities department, our entire school district community do a fantastic job with that.
And having 2 more teams will bring in 2 more teams and their families to Norfolk to be in our fair community, so that will be a good thing as well.
I'd like to just give a quick shout out to our staff, especially with all the makeup dates and rescheduling, and that gets very stressful for Ben and Lisa at the time, but they work very well together. They got used to it. But no, our staff was very willing to step up and help out when needed and fill positions, and so it's as stressful as it may be, it always seems to go off with very few hitches, and so it's a total commitment from the entire staff. So.
Well, and it's like Ben said, most people just think, oh, well, I've got to call that other school. No, you've got to line the buses and the referees, and then you've got to make sure everybody down the line has all been notified, and then you start getting into scheduling of their schedules, and it was just, it's a huge chain reaction. So kudos. Facilities and everything, yes.
Actually, really impressive job by our coaches and athletes too, for competing hard no matter what the conditions were. I know there were some soccer games in adverse conditions, and our teams really competed hard the entire time, and that's great to see. 8:5, the minutes of the May 1st Nurses and Student Health Fund meetings are attached for your review. And with that, we will get to the consent agenda. Included in the consent agenda are minutes of our prior meetings, 4/9 and 4/26, personnel, contract approvals and resignations. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. We have 3 contracts for you to consider this evening. The first is Shane Anderson as our Norfolk Senior High Social Studies teacher. He would be coming to us from Norfolk Catholic, where he is currently a Dean of Students, Activities Director, and Senior Government and Economics teacher. Michael Grove, who would be a Norfolk Senior High Alternatives for Success teacher. He is currently an English teacher for the Omaha Public Schools in Nebraska, and he is very passionate about alternative education. So we are excited to see him, and Becky is shaking her head, which is a great indication. So the final one is Josh McKinley, a Norfolk Senior High Science teacher, and we stole him from Connecting Point right here in Norfolk, Nebraska. We only have one resignation tonight, which I'm sure Mr. Hart is happy to see. That is Amy Barnhill, who is a part-time junior high show choir and vocal music teacher. She is going to Norfolk Catholic for a full-time vocal music position. So we stole one from them and they stole one from us. We're even, I guess.
Mr. Robinson, anything on the claims?
No, just as presented.
With that, I would accept a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on our consent agenda. Do we have any further discussion or wish to pull any items off?
I do believe we have a few conflicts of interest.
Oh, thank you.
I will start off. Out of abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest. Thus, I am abstaining from voting on claim number 622 for the month of May in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent agenda items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the item which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest. Thus, I am abstaining from voting on claim number 1344 for the month of May in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the items which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest. Thus, I am abstaining from voting on claim number 1326 for the month of May in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the item which I have identified or any other matters set forth therein or related thereto.
With that, voting is open on the consent agenda. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10.1, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the first reading of Board Policy 6400 related to parental involvement. Dr. Thompson.
As we have already discussed twice tonight, we have to review these policies annually. Two minor non-substantive changes were made to policy 6400 to eliminate redundancy and improve the wording of the policy to make it easier to read and understand.
I would make a motion to approve the first reading of Board Policy 6400 related to parental involvement.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on item 10.1? Hearing none, voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10.2, to discuss, consider, and take action to reaffirm Board Policy 6410 related to Title I parental and family involvement. Dr. Thompson.
No changes were recommended by the committee in regards to policy 6410, and we did not receive any feedback in the hearing this evening, so we are recommending that this policy be reaffirmed as it is written.
I'll make a motion to reaffirm Board Policy 6410 related to Title I parental and family involvement.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on item 10.2? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10.3, discuss, consider, and take action to reaffirm Board Policy 5008 related to student attendance. Dr. Thompson.
State law requires that we review our attendance policy 5008 annually. It outlines the types of absences that can be excused, the age for mandatory attendance, which is age 6 through 18, the procedures for early withdrawal, and our requirements for reporting excessive absenteeism to the county attorney. We are recommending this to be reaffirmed as written.
I'll make a motion to reaffirm Board Policy 5008 related to student attendance.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on item 10.3? Hearing no discussion, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
10.4, discuss, consider, and take action to reaffirm Board Policy 5415 related to bullying.
State law requires that we review our bullying policy 5415 annually. I prefer to call it an anti-bullying policy, however. It indicates that we will implement practices that reinforce and encourage positive behaviors, as well as practices to identify and prevent inappropriate behaviors such as bullying. The policy committee is not recommending any revisions at this time. We are recommending that the policy be reaffirmed as written.
I'll make a motion to reaffirm Policy 5415 related to anti-bullying.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on 10.4? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
10.5 is to discuss, consider, and take action to approve the second and final reading of Board Policies 5422, pregnant and parenting students, 5503, use of school buses, 5504, special ed transportation, 5505, safe pupil transportation plan, development of plan, 5506, safe pupil transportation plan, 5601, asthma and allergic reaction protocol, 5602, employee indemnification for emergency protocol. Dr. Thompson.
No changes have been made to these policies since their first reading. We are recommending that their second and final reading be approved this evening.
I make a motion we approve the policies as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on item 10.5? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Item 10.6 this evening is to discuss, consider, and take action to renew the food management contract with Lunchtime Solutions for 2018-2019. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have been pleased with how Lunchtime Solution has managed our nutrition program the past 2 years and would like to continue the contract. According to NDE rules, the district can renew the original contract for up to 4 years after the initial year before going to bid. 2018-19 would be year 3 with Lunchtime Solutions. Changes for 2018-19 will include a new Panther pit at the senior high and some additional equipment upgrades throughout the district. The breakfast and lunch prices for 18-19 will also remain the same with no increase. So with that, I recommend a motion to renew the food management contract with Lunchtime Solutions for the 18-19 school year.
I'll make that motion to renew the food management contract with Lunchtime Solutions for 2018-2019.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second on item 10.6. Do we have any other discussion on this item?
I would like to know where the Panther pit is at.
Currently, it's being operated out of the concession stand, and right outside of the current activities office, we will enclose an area which will be just dedicated to the what used to be called a la carte. It will offer the current items plus additional hot items and additional reimbursable meal items. It does two things. It gives students some options outside the traditional cafeteria meals, but it also helps divide traffic a little bit where you have kids with the open campus that are coming and going, they tend to access that line. The original proposal had a certain percentage of students participating. Currently, we have increased that projection by 50% just at that location. So it's working. So we're going to invest in it, and the lunch program has the funds to do that and continue to grow the program. Correct.
Great, because the only negativity I heard right now are the lines are long back by that concession stand, and sometimes kids don't get through, and then their time's almost up, so that'll be great. And I think the cafeteria lines are long too, depending on where you're coming from. So having an extra location, I think, is a great idea, especially if it also has a few additional items. Wonderful.
We were also running into a little lack of space between concession and lunch program, and kind of falling over each other with supplies and space. So this will work.
If there's no further discussion on 10-6, voting is open. Not open yet? Voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10-7, to discuss, consider, and take action to grant permission for the writing of specs and seeking of proposals for upgrades to the heating system in the 400 and 500 areas of the senior high school. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The current heating system on the original part of the senior high is slowly failing room by room. These units are all original to the building and have provided over 50 years of service. So it is time to replace these units, which is primarily the rooms along the 400 and 500 corridor. Specs will need to be written so bids can be accepted, and we can review those bids for possible approval. So I am recommending a motion to grant permission to write these specifications with a mechanical engineer, and then thus go seek proposals for the upgrades to the heating system in that part of the high school.
I'll make a motion to grant permission for the writing of specs and seeking of proposals for upgrades to the heating system in the 400 and 500 areas of the senior high school.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second on 10.7. Do we have any other discussion?
I'll have to tell my dad because he was in the first class in that new building. So, new heating. 50 years later.
With no further discussion, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10-8, discuss, consider, and take action to grant permission to release bid documents for the renovation of the 25th Street property. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Canemoss Brigger and Kucharik Engineering have finalized drawings and mechanical specifications in order for general contractors to bid on the project. The proposed timeline is attached for your review. With that being said, I am asking for a motion to grant permission to release these bid documents for the renovation of the 25th Street property.
I would make a motion to grant permission to release bid documents for the renovation of the 25th Street property.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on this?
Dr. Robinson, just looking at your timeline, it looks like we are right on schedule. Do you anticipate any of that changing at this point?
Not at this point. I was a little worried about meeting tomorrow for releasing bid documents, but as of 4:30, I had a commitment that I was going to see something yet tonight.
Okay.
So, but I'm confident we're going to be there, and still getting good feedback about interest in this project. So I think we're going to be okay.
And are these bids for all three of the proposals we looked at before?
Yeah, it'd be a general contractor, and they'll bid the base bid plus the 3 alternates. And then we'll see where they come in at and what is allowable in our budget, and if we want to pursue the alternates. So, good question.
If there's no further discussion, 10-8 is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
10.9, discuss, consider, and take action to accept the proposal from Jesse's Sanitation for sanitation services. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you can see listed, we did get 3 qualifying bids for our sanitation services for 18-19. With those prices listed, I'm recommending we accept the proposal from Jesse's Sanitation Services for the 18-19 school year.
I would make a motion to accept the bid from Jesse's Sanitation for the 2018-2019 school year.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
I haven't heard of Jesse's Sanitation. Is it a Norfolk company?
Yes, they're here in Norfolk. They do both residential and commercial sanitation services. This is the first time they've actually bid. I did call them, and they feel they have no qualms with the specifications I wrote for what we need picked up when and so forth. So.
With no further discussion, 10.9 is open for a vote. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Item 10.10 tonight is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the purchase of senior high Spanish materials. Beth.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senior High Spanish Department, under the supervision of the Senior High Principal and the Director of Teaching and Learning, completed comprehensive research and review of Spanish materials. After narrowing down from several to 2 specific programs, the companies provided presentations and allowed piloting of the programs. Vista Senderos was determined to best meet the needs of our students in senior high program. 1 qualifying bid was submitted from Vista Higher Learning for $81,632.70. This includes classroom sets of textbooks, online supersite access, training, and licensing for Spanish 1 through 4 for 6 years. The funds for this purchase will come from the general fund curriculum budget.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of senior high Spanish materials from Vista Senderos.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on this? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Thank you for your support.
Gracias. Numero 10.11, 10.11. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the purchase of Chromebooks. Beth.
Very good, Mr. Robinson. The district received the following bids that met specifications for the purchase of 540 Chromebooks for the 18-19 school year. Tierney at $129,870, CDI $118,800, OM Office Supply $116,100, and Dell at $103,993.20. The funds for this purchase will come from our tech bond and general fund.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of Chromebooks from Dell for $103,993.20.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
Beth, what is the lifespan of our Chromebooks now?
Okay, so we plan for 4 years. Okay, some will make 5, depending upon the handling and usage from the students.
Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Thank you again.
Item 10.12 tonight, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the annual garage sale. Mrs. Beth Nelson.
This is our annual garage sale of obsolete technology items as well as other building items that no longer have use in our district. Proceeds from the sale go back to the programs from where items originated. Encourage you to support that so we can keep our maintenance building in nice shape.
I make a motion to approve the annual district garage sale for a date yet to be determined.
I'll
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on the garage sale?
Are there Chromebooks for sale?
I don't anticipate, because we're actually building 5-6 years off of that original purchase, and we're keeping many for parts to limp through, because let's see, we have another group of graduates. At this point, we have budgeted where we will, each group of 9th grade students will get a new device when they come. And then at certain point, once we get that going, at that point, we need to make a decision. Is that something that we allow students to have, or possibly do a fee for their continued property? Or we haven't just really gone down that road yet.
So that Chromebook would follow that student all 4 years?
Yes, that is the intent of that.
But we haven't started that yet?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. So current 9th and 10th graders have Dells. I lose track of my timelines a little bit because we plan so far ahead, and it's like, okay, are we that far yet or not? But as we evolve in our usage and the devices that we use, we're also not needing hardwired labs everywhere, as many as we have. We haven't absolutely gone obsolete with that because there are still some uses. So those devices are more of what you would see on the garage sale. Yeah.
With no further discussion, 10-12 is open for voting. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
Thank you again. This was a busy evening for me.
Item 10.13 tonight, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the hiring of an overflow second grade teacher for Woodland Park. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. According to administrative rule, 30 students in grades 1 through 4 shall be considered maximum numbers of students allowed per classroom. Second grade at Woodland Park will exceed this number next year. We have been monitoring the size of this class all year, as it has been hovering around 60 or 30 per section. We have offered multiple transfers to new students, but have still exceeded our cap of 30. Therefore, I am requesting, and Mr. Strong and all of his staff, at least at the second grade level, are requesting approval to hire an additional teacher next year to serve as an overflow second grade teacher at Woodland Park Elementary.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of an overflow second grade teacher at Woodland Park.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on this item?
Is that the only overflow next year?
As of right now, that is the only overflow classroom. I am watching 3 other classes. Kindergarten at Washington is unusually high for this time of year, and they get a lot of late enrollees. So that could be one that would come late in July even. We'll just have to wait and see. And then there are a couple classrooms at Bel Air that are pretty full. But I think those will probably be okay.
I think we can see our district is continuing to grow, and all of those actions we've been taking over the last several years and continue to take with enrollment growth in mind is happening. So I think it's great to see that Woodland Park is growing again. It's a great school. I guess the voting is open. If anyone has any other discussion, voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried, 6-0.
future meetings, since this was published, we've decided we will not be having a second meeting on Thursday, May 24th. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, June 11th. Study session will begin at 5:30, followed by the business meeting at 6:30. All components will be held here at the NPS Central Administration offices and be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of an individual. With that, at 7:43, we are adjourned.